Welcome back to Cheaper Pop Culture, the show that doesn't do so well on the wrestling channel, but does pretty darn good by comparison for right here. I'll take what I can get. Now, today's episode is about one specific trend that was happening a little while back, one particular example to be exact, where the bad guys of the movie would allow themselves to get captured on purpose, just because, filmmakers thought it was super badass, even though it's really just super stupid. The Joker from Dark Knight, Silva from Skyfall, they both danced to this tune, but if ever there was a culprit that was the dumbest to ever run this play from the supervillain's guidebook of things not to do, it would have to be one schmuck in particular. And that schmuck is... In the Avengers, Loki gets captured and placed on the helicarrier, and all this happens just as a mere part of the Grand Master Plan. However, it's an extremely unnecessary part of this plan, and one that really didn't even need to happen for Loki to achieve his real goals. Let's just break it down. Loki wanted to use the Mind Stone in his staff to get the Hulk to destroy the helicarrier, which presumably will take out the Avengers, his greatest opposition. Now, the first problem with this is that he could have just left the staff behind and they would have probably brought it onto the ship without him needing to go along with it. And if you want to say, what if they didn't? He couldn't take that chance, then let me remind you, it's a mind control stick! The first idiot that comes in contact with it just picks it up and then he takes it onto the helicarrier. Whether it's Iron Man or a low-level SHIELD agent, one of these guys can get it on board. Or if they didn't have that kind of clearance, then you just mind puppet them into taking it to their superior, who then takes it on board himself. And also, if that doesn't work for you, then just allow me to have you consider this. With Hawkeye already under Loki's control, Hawkeye could have just brought it on board. But if you want to point out that SHIELD already knew that Hawkeye was compromised, then allow me to remind you that we could also just rely on Hawkeye's aim. You know, the thing that he's so good at that it allegedly counts as a superpower. And in case you forgot, yes, he could definitely fire something directly into the helicarrier. It wasn't even difficult for him. But for that matter, if Loki just wanted to destroy the helicarrier and all of the goodies that were on it, then he could have just used his marksman to, shoot the giant airship out of the sky in the first place. I mean, it's a flying aircraft carrier. Making this thing fall out of the sky really shouldn't be all that difficult. And don't bother saying that it was cloaked with those reflective panels so it would be too hard to find. After all, the Vulture found a plane with those panels on it on moving day and he doesn't remotely have any of the resources that SHIELD or Loki has. And shockingly, the Vulture managed to find it without having to be arrested first and brought onto that plane. It's so weird. When he gets arrested at the end of the movie, he just stays arrested until the film ends? How baffling. But back onto Loki, because I want to point out that Loki didn't signal his crew while he was aboard the helicarrier jail, which means that he either somehow did signal them and it just happened off camera for some reason without being explained to the audience, or a brainwashed Hawkeye knew where it was and he just brought his evil crew over when the time was right. Or you know what, maybe some other thing could have happened. Anyway, the point of the matter is, out of all the possible options, I think the most likely explanation is that Loki didn't have to be aboard the helicarrier. Loki could have easily gotten someone on board in order to crash it, especially if he has a giant magic wand capable of the Imperious Curse. He also could have taken any of his Jedi mind trick minions and had them blow it up from the ground. But most importantly, he could have just, not done any of those things. Let's just look at it this way. Loki is a trickster, right? He could have just shown up at SHIELD, played a nice guy for a little bit. Then, when he got close, he could have used his trickery to take down the Avengers one by one in secret, since being two-faced and manipulative is something he's supposedly really good at. But also, he could have not even bothered with the Avengers at all. SHIELD was working on the Tesseract. That's how Loki got to Earth in the first place. So why not just use that same trick to get Thanos here instead? Especially since he's the one who really wants to be there. Although that does remind me, he only really wants to be there because the Cosmic Cube is on Earth and it's an Infinity Stone. And Thanos really wants to get his hands on all of the Infinity Stones, so he gives away an Infinity Stone to Loki. Huh. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this one. Join me next time when I allow this show to get intentionally captured for no reason other than it's part of my master plan for world domination. For cookies. I will do it for cookies. Bye!